everybody and welcome back to a brand new video. Now for today's video I'm going to be sharing with you how I take my notes on my iPad. First things first, I have the Apple iPad Pro. It's the 10.5 inch iPad and it's not the new Pro without the home button, it still has a home button. I use that iPad to take my notes, and to write my notes I use the Apple Pencil 1st generation. I've had my iPad for about 4 or 5 years and I only recently, a few months ago, got the 1st generation Apple Pencil. I use my iPad and Apple Pencil to take my notes in all of my lessons, mainly in my maths lessons because that's where I take the majority of my notes. Now let's hop into the app that I use to take the notes. So on the dock of my iPad, I have all the apps that I need to take my notes. I use this iPad now for mainly education. I used to just have it for games and random things, but I now use it for taking my notes. So the app that I use is Notability and you can download it from the App Store. I think it's $7.99 on the App Store. If you want to have a look, I'll leave a link in the description, but that's the app that I use to take my notes. When you open the app, you've got on the left-hand side all of the folders. So basically the app works like it is a ring binder. And at the side we've got the dividers, we've got all of my modules that I take for further maths. So I've got Copier 1, Copier 2, Decision and Further Pure. And then I've got 3 others, one for the Les Mis that I was doing at my college. We were doing a production of Les Mis. I've got one divider for Theatre Studies, which is another course that I take for A-level. And then I've got one for my maths account on Instagram. If you open up each of the dividers, you're able to add subjects. So you can see the plus button in the corner, you can create a subject or you can create a new divider. And you can think of a divider just like a divider in a folder. And that allows you to group everything together in one sort of folder. Then the subjects are different like subfolders within a divider. So each subject here, I've got one in the Copier 1 folder for revision notes, and I've got another one for exam papers. I've then got in the Copier 2 the same thing, Decision the same thing, and then in Further Pure, I've got 4 subjects. I've got one for revision notes, one for class notes, one for exercises that I've done from the textbook, and then I've got one for exam papers. So if we have a look at revision notes, I first started taking my revision notes with the Apple Notes app. So what I had to do is transfer all of my notes into Notability. Because when I first got my Apple Pencil, I didn't want to buy Notability, seeing as though it was $7.99. I wanted to test out that I could use the Apple Pencil right before I purchased the app. So the Apple Notes app is free and it comes with any Apple product. So I just started to take some notes on there. So then what I did after I bought Notability is I imported my notes from Apple Notes into Notability. And they didn't import the best, but they're there, so I've got them here and I can have a look. These notes were taken with the Apple Notes, but I've got them in Notability, so that's good. Now, all of my revision notes in Further Pure were taken using the Apple Notes app. But if we have a look at exercises, we can see I've got my exercises here that I've done from the textbook. And if we have a look, for example, at review exercise 1, and if we go all the way to page 1, we can see that these are the notes that I've taken using Notability. Now, if we have a look at the paper settings, if we press the 3 dots in the top right-hand corner, I use the first lined paper setting. Now, each of those changes the width of the lines and I use the smallest there. Now you can also have gridded lines if you want, but I prefer just lined paper. So then what I do is I can zoom in and out if I want to make the lines bigger, and I can write, or I can zoom out and write with the lines like that. Now the tools at the top, we've got the pencil, the highlighter, the rubber, the snipper, the scroll tool, so you can use your pencil to scroll, and I don't actually know what that one is because I've never seen that one before. But if I just use the rubber and I change it to thickness, there's 2 types of rubbers that you can have. There's a whole rubber that rubs out just the whole thing that you've selected, or there's a partial rubber which works like a rubber in real life and you just move over what you want to erase and it erases. If we have a look at, for example, exercise 6A, we can see that I've also done the same thing with the lines, and the pen thickness that I use is the 4th one, and I just use black to do my normal notes. If I'm marking, I'll use blue so I can see where I've done my annotations or the ticks or the crosses. And when I've got an answer, I'll use the highlighter and I'll just highlight my answer. One thing I really love about Notability is that if you hold down, it will turn into a straight line. And that's if you're using a highlighter or if you're using a pen. Now, one thing that's really good with Notability is if you've got it connected to your iCloud, you can see in the bottom corner here, it's just finished, that it actually backs up the notes to your iCloud. So it saves as you go along. Now, if we have a look in class notes, we can see that I've got the class notes for each chapter in Further Maths. So we've got all the way from chapter 1 to chapter 9. Now, if we have a look, for example, in chapter 3, and if we have a look here, we can see that I've actually taken a scan of a paper that I was given in class. Now, to do that, I use the app Scannable. So if we have a look at Scannable, if we open it up, what this allows you to do is to take a picture of a sheet that you've been given in real life, and actually what it does, it converts it into a scanned document. So I have an example sheet here, and if I place that on the desk, you can use the app. It just has your camera. So if we just hold the iPad above the sheet, it takes a picture and then it converts it into a scan. I want a crisp. Then if we click at the bottom, we can see that we've got the scanned document, and if we just press save to camera roll, it's now saved it into my camera roll. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press done, and then I'm going to go back into Notability. Now, say for example I wanted to insert it into this note. I'm going to scroll to the page that I want to insert it to, so let's say I want to insert it to the bottom. I'm then going to press the add button in the top right, and I'm going to press Photo Library. Now we can see that we've got a picture that was taken today, and that was what I just took then, the scanned document. So I'm going to press that and I'm going to press Insert Photo. Now we can see it inserts here. I'm going to drag it and change the size of it that I want it to be. And now we can see we've got the document from this paper onto our Notability document. So now what I'm able to do is I'm able to write the answer. I can just write it in here. And then I can underline if that's my final answer, and I can highlight it as well. And as we scroll, the text moves with the document. So that's such an efficient way, and then all I'll do is hand this sheet back to my teacher because she knows that I've got it on my iPad. Now I also do exam papers on here as well. So if we have a look back at the organisation of my notes, we can see in Further Pure, we've got exam papers. Now we've got some exam questions that I did, and we've also got a textbook CP2 paper. So let's say we found an exam paper online, which I have done, so let's have a look online. This was an exam paper that I found on crashmaths.com. Let's say I don't want to print this off, I want to do it on my iPad. What I'll do is I will press the sort of export button in the top right, and it will give me options for where I want to export the exam paper to. Now I want it to go into a Notability app, so I'm going to press Notability, and it will now give me options of where I need to insert it into the app. So I'm going to create a new note, and it now tells me where do you want this note to be created. So I'm going to give it a title, and I'm going to give it the title Video Exam Paper, and then we're going to go back, and we want it to be in the subject Exam Papers FP1, and I think it's that one there. And it has pages that we can select. So do we want all the pages from the PDF of the exam paper? Yes, we do. So we're just going to go and press import. And it takes literally that amount of time. It imports straight away. So we're going to press done, and then we're going to head back to Notability. And now we can see it's just loaded in our exam papers folder in the Further Pure divider. We can see that we've got video exam paper. So therefore, if I open that up, we can see if we zoom out, we've got all of the exam paper pages straight into a note on Notability. Now I'll give you an example of an exam paper that I have actually done on the Notability app. If we go into Core Pure 2 and exam papers, we can see that I've got an exam paper here. Now it's exactly the same exam paper that I did just import into Notability. So I type my name using the type function, and if I scroll down, we can see that I just answer this exactly like I would do on paper. I highlight my answers with a yellow highlighter, and I tick off and correct if there's any corrections that I need to do as I'm working along the exam paper. Now I could get rid of that page, for example, seeing as though I didn't use it, so I'm gonna head to the page and press delete page. So therefore it flows straight away from question 1 into question 2. If there's any annotations that I want to stand out, I'll do them in a different colour, or I'll box them or highlight them. I really do hope that this has given you a little bit of information in how I take my notes using my iPad and Apple Pencil. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments down below. Make sure you like the video and subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching, bye!